Hey everybody, Mike Shoesmith here, using a little different format today, using the webcam. Hopefully this isn't too poorly assembled here, but I've got it. I just published an article on the blog, ppsimmons.blogspot.com. We'll put a link to the article in the description section of this video, but I know many of you prefer videos. You prefer not to go to the blog and read stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff on the blog, and you guys really should spend some time over there and put your email address in the box on the right side. And then what that does is it gets you our newsletter every day. And all of the news that we publish to the blog, and all the videos go there as well, by the way. All that goes to the newsletter. And there's only one way to get on the PP Simmons newsletter, and that's by signing up at the blog. Go to ppsimmons.blogspot.com, put your email address in on the right side there, and you will be signed up for the PP Simmons newsletter. And we don't have that list, by the way, that email list. We don't have it. It's just not something that the blog owners. Google owns the blog, and they don't give us the email addresses. So we're not going to send you guys, spam or anything like that. All you'll do is you'll get our newsletter every day, and that's all. Basically, it's just a summary of our postings for the day. This one I think is important, and I wrote this one. And the title is, "This is the greatest threat in today's global climate. Israel very much alone in the world. Just as the Bible predicts, World War III is imminent." Secretary of State John Kerry, he reportedly told U.S. senators this week to disregard Israeli reports of Iran's progress in developing a nuclear weapon. Also, his spokeswoman dismissed an Israeli cabinet minister's account of a proposed deal with Iran as inaccurate, exaggerated, and not based in reality. As John Kerry seeks ways to appease the Adolf Hitler of our day, more on that in a moment, the Iranian regime, we are reminded of a time a generation ago when these same dynamics were in play, dynamics which led to World War II. So we ask the question here, is John Kerry a modern Neville Chamberlain? Many of you will know who Neville Chamberlain was. And just a little back history here. The Munich Agreement was a settlement permitting Nazi Germany's annexation of portions of Czechoslovakia along the country's borders, mainly inhabited by German speakers, for which a new territorial designation, Sudetenland, was coined. I probably butchered that, but it looks to me like Sudetenland was coined. The agreement was negotiated at a conference held in Munich, Germany, among the major powers of Europe, without the presence of Czechoslovakia. Today it is widely regarded as a failed. Now I'm going over some back history here, but this video will bring you to an amazing climax. Don't zone out on me here. Just stay tuned, all right? But the back history is important. So Czechoslovakia was not invited to the Munich Agreement. Today it is widely regarded as a failed act of appeasement toward Germany. The agreement was signed in the early hours of 30th September 1938. The purpose of the conference was to discuss the future of the Sudetenland in the face of ethnic demands made by Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler making certain demands, wanting appeasement. The agreement was signed by Germany, France, and the United Kingdom and Italy. Sudetenland was of immense strategic importance to Czechoslovakia, as most of its border defenses were situated there, and many of its banks and heavy industries were located there as well. Because the state of Czechoslovakia was not invited to the conference, it considered itself to have been betrayed by the United Kingdom and France. So Czechs and Slovaks call the Munich Agreement the Munich Dictate. The phrase Munich betrayal is also used because the military alliance Czechoslovakia had with France and Britain proved useless. Today the document is typically referred to simply as the Munich Pact. As the previous appeasement of Hitler had shown, the governments of both France and Britain were set on avoiding war at any cost. The French government did not wish to face Germany alone and took its lead from the British government and its Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain. Chamberlain believed that Sudeten, German grievances were justified and that Hitler's intentions were limited. But they were not. Now, does that all sound familiar? Of course it does. I mean, Kerry and Obama, they're like, well, it could be that Iran is telling the truth, that their nuclear ambitions are limited to powering the country and so on and so forth. This is all very familiar stuff, but this gets even more crazy, as you'll see in a moment here. Iran and its allies have repeatedly declared that its nuclear ambitions are also limited to peaceful ends, yet we now know that Iran has not hidden its desire to see Israel wiped off the map. They blame Israel, and we have proof of that here in a moment. They blame Israel for the tensions in the region, just as Hitler blamed the Jews for their humiliating defeat in World War I. The First War ended with Germany's defeat, yet no battle ever took place on German soil. This didn't sit well with many Germans who felt they were betrayed without a real chance to change the outcome of the war. Hitler blamed the Jewish bankers and found a ready audience at the time at home. Iran has called for the elimination of Israel from the region. They have done that repeatedly, contrary to those who say they have never said that. The Washington Post said Thursday, August 3rd, 2006, this is from the Washington Post, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad said Thursday the solution to the Middle East crisis is to destroy Israel. In a speech during an emergency meeting of Muslim leaders, Ahmadinejad, see when he's before the UN, he's like, no, we want peace, blah, blah, blah. But when he's with his Muslim jihadist buddies, he says he called for an immediate halt to fighting in Lebanon between Israel and the Iranian-backed militant group Hezbollah. Although the main solution is for the elimination of the Zionist regime, he said, at this stage, an immediate ceasefire must be implemented. But the ultimate goal is the elimination of Israel. Ahmadinejad, who has drawn international condemnation with previous calls for Israel to be wiped off the map, said the Middle East would be better off without the existence of the Zionist regime. Are you hearing me here? Israel is an illegitimate regime. There is no legal basis for its existence, said Ahmadinejad. Iran is backing groups right now dedicated to the destruction of Israel. Imagine this for a moment, folks. Imagine, especially those of you who consider Israel to be one of the bad guys here. If the Palestinians were to lay down their arms today and renounce hostilities against Israel, especially hostilities against the Jewish people as a race group, then the Palestinian people would be welcomed into the Jewish secular economy, with their religion respected within the construct of a largely non-religious system such as it is in Israel. Politically speaking, Israel is a secular society, folks. On the other hand, if Israel was to lay down her arms, the outcome would be quite different, a horror show of massive proportions. Yasser Arafat once quipped that there would not be peace in that region until the last Jew was drowned in the Mediterranean. Imagine if Netanyahu was to say such a thing about the Palestinians. Yet Arafat was actually given the Nobel Peace Prize, folks, a prize Adolf Hitler himself was once nominated for. Now we fast forward to today. Dateline Thursday, November 21st, 2013. That was yesterday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is determined to prevent Iran from fielding nuclear weapons, but warned in an interview with German newspaper Bild that the Islamic Republic already possesses enough low-enriched uranium for 5 atomic bombs. From the moment it decides to do so, Iran would need only weeks to further enrich that uranium to weapons-grade material. And Netanyahu noted Iran has already built intercontinental missiles capable of delivering its new weapons to Israel, Germany, and the rest of Europe. The Times of Israel reported yesterday, November 21st, that on the 20th, the day prior, Jerusalem is unpleasantly surprised that, this will shock you people, I promise you, as of Thursday afternoon, the Obama administration had not unequivocally condemned vicious anti-Israel statements made Wednesday morning by Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Senior Israeli officials told the Times of Israel in an address to an assembly of tens of thousands of Ba'athist militiamen, Khamenei declared that Israel was doomed to fail and characterized the Zionist regime as the sinister, unclean, rabid dog of the region. He also said Israelis, hear me now, Israelis cannot be called human beings. Footage of the event showed the crowd shouting death to America and death to Israel. This is Iran today. Any serious student of Hitler's philosophy will note the eerie likeness to his belief that Jews are not human beings, exactly the same way the ruler of Iran has admitted many times as recently as 2 days ago. You know, when I was watching Schindler's List, I can recall one of the guards had a Jewish mistress, and he was laying a vicious beating on her. And in the midst of the beating, he seemed to be gaining some sort of remorse. And he looked at her compassionately and he said, I don't know why I feel this way, so much compassion for you. You're not even a real person. This was the attitude under Hitler toward the Jewish people, that they're not real people. They're lesser evolved. This is one of the sad realities of teaching people that they're only animals. You end up with these atrocities. Anyway, folks, I'm going to cut this short here. Go to the blog. I'll put the link to the blog article in the description section of this video, so you guys can check it out for yourself. Hopefully, this format isn't too disturbing for you. We'll talk to you guys later.